useful in governance, but I also saw monks come and understand how AI could be useful in spirituality.
Indeed.
So
और ये तस्वीरों में प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी और तमाम देशों के राष्ट्र प्रमुखों अंतर्राष्ट्रीय
Right, so if you're just joining us, you're watching the latest visuals coming to you from Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi, where the Prime Minister is interacting with visiting dignitaries, giving them a slice of Indian culture, music and dance ahead of a banquet on the eve of the penultimate 2 days of the summit, in which they will all be discussing about various issues related to AI, its growth and regulation going forward. Here we can see the Prime Minister interacting with the leader of Spain, among other leaders present at the venue of the summit. And as we watch these visuals, let me go back to my guest, Mr. Agarwal. Mr. Agarwal, we're discussing about your experiences at the summit, the Expo in particular, and how you came across monks and spirituality.
So I did interact with a monk from ISKCON, and what was his purpose of coming here? He felt it could impact his daily life as well, and he wanted to understand what all is happening and how anything that he could pick up and go back and do his work better. So that was a fascinating conversation. I also saw a specially abled person moving around in a wheelchair, trying to attend and understand what all is happening. So every kind of an individual intellectually was there, trying to understand what is happening in the world of AI, and the scale of it was immense. I mean, till now I've attended 3 days of it and I've not covered everything. So just trying to understand everything is probably not going to happen, but I am going back very rich in terms of my understanding of what all is happening in India and outside in AI, be it in agriculture, dairy, chip manufacturing, procurement in supply chains, software, LLM security. Think of it in every possible way. Our founders in India are trying to figure out their place in the world of AI. So it was very fascinating to just be a part of all of those conversations.
What you're saying, sounds exciting and scary at the same time, because what you're essentially saying is that AI will leave none of us untouched. It will percolate down to every level of society going forward. Some might be displaced or disrupted. Some might have to look for alternative means of working or coping with these challenges. So in a sense, I mean, one wonders, is the world prepared for the next big thing in AI? I mean, how prepared are people at large?
I think India has to invest massively in rethinking the way we do education in India. I believe students will start using AI to figure out a lot of things on their own. So no more learning is going to happen in a classroom. I believe most students will figure out how to learn electromagnetism outside of the classroom and in their own language. So
True.
I believe education is going to get fast-tracked. Skills are going to happen at lesser ages. I believe India should consider and open up that possibility more and more, that we create more skilled individuals at lesser age, and that will allow more individuals to join and figure out what they want to be doing in the new world. And I believe more individuals will be skilled at what is required to be an employee or an employer in the new world. So people will figure out, students will figure out what are the skills. Of course, the society has to come together to contribute to making that understanding happen. But I think we're on the right track. There's a lot of movement in how we learn engineering via AI. I saw a few startups trying to do that. I saw universities there trying to project what they're doing in terms of learning with AI. So everybody is already thinking about AI and how to use it to better their own existence.
True.
So everything is accelerating in the right direction. Government and the private institutions, everybody is contributing. So I think AI is already arrived. It's already
And it's here to stay.
Of course.
It's not going anywhere. It is very much here to stay and be with us for the foreseeable future.
Especially because you're investing in sovereign models and hardware. As that happens more and more, I foresee the cost of implementing AI in a secure way goes down considerably. As that happens and more companies figure out how to take AI in every aspect of life, it is only going to get even cheaper. And our lives are only going to get better. For instance, I believe in a few years we'll see traffic management happening with AI. So that problem somebody is going to attempt. It need not be the government that attempts that problem. It could be private company that attempts to solve that problem. So it is happening in multiple ways. It's all up to us whether we are open enough to see that it is there before us. Let's not be scared. Let's adopt it. Let's figure out a safe way to adopt it. Let's figure out how we can build trust with AI. And it works both ways. It's the government that needs to do its part. It's the companies that also need to do its own part in making it trustworthy.
Absolutely. Dr. Richter, as we watch these visuals from the venue of the summit, I am tempted to ask you, because there are countries in Europe and around the world who are said to be ahead of the curve, as it were, and I would think Germany would be among one of those countries who are trying to come to grips with AI and its impact on the world at large. In that context, how is AI affecting the life of an ordinary German as we speak today? I mean, has it percolated down to all levels of society, be it business, education, or even governance for that matter?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, there's no question that AI will shape the century, but it's leadership who will determine its character. And leadership, I mean, of course, the institutional leadership, like politicians, executives in the economy, but it's also about self-leading each person. And the more powerful our tools become, the more intentional we must become at the same time. I mean, I sometimes picture what would be the ordinary people do with our technological world as we have it already today. Like driving a car with a human driver takes a lot of responsibility towards oneself and towards others, and you have to learn that. So the future will not be decided by technology or code alone. So those turning points are about mastering, as we would say, the art of courage, caution, and chance.
And if I could just randomly ask you for your thoughts on technology that might be rendered obsolete. I mean, here we can take the example of the typewriter or the pager, for instance, which have been rendered obsolete over the last couple of decades. So in that context, what technologies that exist today might be rendered obsolete going forward because of the advent of AI?
Well, maybe the shift is even more dramatic. So I think, I mean, I've started my career, there were still typewriters in the offices. And then it was replaced by the PC.
Right.
But in a way, we still have been thinking in paper formats, like in A4 or in letter formats around the world. I think we're having in the work area a more fundamental shift. And it will not just replace technology, but it will replace or evolve, I would rather say, our way how we perceive living and working and leading in a very fundamental way. I mean, what is leading about? It's a lot of communication that's completely affected. It's about knowledge. So in former times, knowledge meant power. Now knowledge is commodity. And as a leader, I always had to find out how could I judge what someone lays on my table or brings on my screen when I have to bear the consequences. So we have to relearn this. And in the companies, I sometimes have the picture that the ordinary people are often much more open to it than leaders. So they use AI in all sorts in all parts of their life, like planning events or their marriage or shopping or recipes, preparing food. And the leaders have the trouble that they always think they must appear competent, and there are good reasons for it. And they are having a very hard time learning these new technologies and the implication on their leadership from scratch on. And if we accept this and create spaces for this and also some patience, then we will also grow the capacity to lead this in a positive way. I'm very positive about this.
Mr. Agarwal, do you share Dr. Richter's thoughts when it comes to human-centric evolution or development of AI? I mean, not only trustworthy but inclusive and firmly aligned with human values? Is that something that resonates with you as well?
Absolutely. I think to your question of how it is going to change, let's say from typewriter to now, I foresee the need of typing itself not being there anymore. I foresee humans talking to interfaces and getting things done. So it is already possible. It is only going to get integrated as more people figure out how to get AI agents to execute on tasks from a voice command. As that happens, you're going to see most interfaces not requiring humans to type. So that's like an evolution. So,
but tell me something, Mr. Agarwal, would that render the application of the human mind redundant and therefore debilitating our responses or instincts?
It is going to happen. And we all have to...
In other words, is the AI going to make people people generally speaking, no offense, dumb?
It will at some point. And we all have to figure out how do we get back the cognition in other forms.
Right.
So it's an important question that we all need to answer, that it is going to happen. Like we have automated a lot of marketing activities in our company. So it doesn't require us to think anymore about marketing.
Right.
So are we dumb about marketing? Yes, in a way we will. As more and more work gets done by AI, we will. So what we need to figure out is how we learn AI is doing that and what we can do apart from what is already available. So we need to think beyond what AI is already doing. That's when we are not going to be dumb. So if we only think that AI is going to automate everything that we currently do and it stops there, no, the world is not going to stop there. The world has to move beyond what it was doing. AI is only going to help us figure out the new things that we should be doing. As long as we all collectively try figuring out what new thing we can do, in order to make our lives easier, we will have a lot of work to do with our brains.
So let me probe you further on that. So on the one hand, when one talks about some jobs getting obsolete going forward, my question to you is this: what kind of new jobs or opportunities will arise because of AI that people like us can benefit from?
I think manufacturing is one space where I feel a lot of small entrepreneurs can happen. And we will figure out that can we run a one-person company. So more and more one-person companies will happen in different spheres. And government has to figure out how to enable that and make sure that such companies can run efficiently. So we should look at wherever AI is optimizing things and kind of double up on that optimization such that we figure out new avenues to grow, new things to do for our society. And as long as we keep figuring out new things to do, there is new work, there is new avenues to employ using AI.
Indeed.
So we have to reimagine the world and we coexist with AI.
So coexistence, Dr. Richter, is that in your estimation a challenge, going to prove a challenge? Because do you foresee more of a competition than cooperation with AI going forward?
Well, I mean, I take this as a personal question, because then I can give you a very, very clear
answer. Go ahead, please
I'm
do.
Completely convinced that this is the greatest chance that we maybe had as mankind to really grow into a collaborative mindset. And I see the following reasons. So how our work environment evolved. So many of what we did are not aligned with our true nature as humans, as we have been built ages ago. And we see it in rising health issues in our societies. We see it in burnout rates, etc., etc. And if the coming of AI brings us to be more collaborative and replace tasks with tasks that are more aligned with our true nature, so we will have more fulfilled and healthy and happy and life-friendly lives, societies, and economies. And one could even say, and now we are of course dreaming big, that through AI we have kind of a renaissance of our natural intelligence and the chance to do a quantum jump into our capabilities. So, and at the moment, the competition, I think this is a misconception, because when we compare our cognitive intelligence with our AI tools,
Indeed,
we see that we have very powerful tools. And I also don't complain if I see a crane on the street, that the crane is able to lift more than I am capable with my bare hands. So I have learned to use it, and our society and economy has learned to use it. And if we learn how to get more access to our unconscious mind, to work with that more in a deliberate way, so that opens vast possibilities of what I see in natural intelligence. So we're too busy at the moment to discover all this, and if we steer it in that way, I see a great, splendid future for mankind. And that brings me to that point why I think it's such a great thing that other cultures, like now Indian cultures, look at those issues in a more holistic way. That's why this 7 chakras just caught my eye, and I think this is a very good point of view that's coming into that whole discussion and development.
Indeed, and just to amplify the point Dr. Richter was making there about the chakras, the 7 thematic chakras reflect India's effort to channel global expertise and shared perspectives into actionable frameworks, namely human capital, inclusion for social empowerment, safe and trusted AI, resilience, innovation and efficiency, science, democratizing AI and resources, and AI for economic development and social good. If I were to take that point across to you, Mr. Agarwal, now we've heard from the government of India, which says that it is approaching this moment with cautious optimism, embracing AI's potential while remaining mindful of risks, standards, governance, and most importantly, ensuring that all global voices are empowered in shaping the AI global discourse. So in that context, do you think the organization of this summit in India, which sees itself as the voice of the global south, is timely, and that one should capitalize on this moment for the benefit of the common good going forward?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's in our ethos to take everybody along. We believe in Vasudev Kutumbakam. So
Indeed.
And we do not want to leave behind any country in whatever we do. Look at the COVID era. We did share vaccines with the world, with the global south. And we also should share benefits of AI with global south and learn from the implementations. The more implementations happen, the more we are going to learn faster. So everybody will, every human mind will come up with different applications of AI. The more applications, the more learning happens in a condensed time.
Indeed.
So it is definitely important for India to share even the sovereign models that we build. We should share the applications of them. We should share how to build AI models as well with them. In fact, if we are developing chips, we should also share that technology with them. I completely believe in sharing with humanity to advance faster. Look at healthcare. If we can share better ways of doing healthcare with the global south, it's very heartening as an individual for me. So we should definitely share all our learnings in growing, building with AI with the world.
And talking about learning, Mr. Agarwal, now we've seen that AI has already arrived in our schools. Students and teachers are using it on a daily basis now. So the question is not whether AI is to be used, but whether it is being used responsibly, knowingly, critically, and responsibly by everyone, all the stakeholders. So does that make education and catching them young, as it were, that much more important?
Oh, absolutely. I think India should set up, audit bodies.
So if I were to rephrase my question, is teaching students, young boys and girls, coding is passé. Now AI is very much in, so we have to change the focus of the curriculum, as it were. Is that something that's on the anvil?
I think it's already on the horizon. It may not take the same form that it exists in education system right now, but it could be in different forms. We could figure out safe ways to help children learn programming logic.
True.
Not essentially code, but programming logic. So if we can teach children how to kind of find this programming logic through games, through everyday implementations, that's a safe way for them to learn programming. And when we collectively believe is the right age to learn coding, we can expose them to learning to code, and it is a natural progression if we do the programming logic learning earlier. So I believe this entire curriculum is going to get reset, and it also is going to come from parents.
True.
It's not just, let's say, it's like the government feels that should be done. I think parents are going to demand it now.
True.
They will say, okay, I know this is going to be required in the future. What are you doing to train my child in it? So because this is also going to come from parents, like collectively, the education boards will have to look at it and devise safer ways for children to learn. Devise the right methodologies to be learned using AI. What is the right way to audit whatever is being shown to the kid? So every aspect of AI's interaction has to be audited, has to be modeled for the children to take it in the right way.
Indeed. And as we're approaching the last leg, as it were, of our special broadcast on the AI Impact Summit taking place in New Delhi, and as we stay on these visuals coming to you from the Bharat Mandapam in the city, where world leaders are gathering for a banquet on the eve of the penultimate 2 days of the summit to focus on key issues, critical issues facing the world at large. Let me ask my guests for their concluding remarks, as it were, their thoughts on the way forward. And if I can bring back Dr. Richter back in the discussion. Dr. Richter, talking about Germany and responsible and ethical use of AI, is Germany already implementing some of these going in their the polity, as it were, to encourage and inculcate this feeling of responsible and ethical use of AI? Is that something that the government and people are seized of?
Well, I would say they're all trying.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, of course, the final layer of every decision is ethical, not technical. But how do we allow the leaders, the teachers, the parents to go ahead a bit, that they can be a good example for others and lead again? That's the true challenge. And I think that's something we didn't have in history, because you could grow into these positions, and what you grew technically, ethically, how to lead practically, was kind of good for a lifetime. And now the challenge is that our leaders and parents and teachers have to become agile and flexible and learn and relearn during their lifetime. And I mean, the good thing is what scientists and neuroscientists particularly show us, that this is possible. So we all have that wonderful trait of neuroplasticity until the end of our life. It's not our brains are not finished when we become adults. Mm-hmm. We just have underutilized this trait, and that's the challenge, to relearn this and implement it in our adult lives with leaders, with teachers, with politicians.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Agarwal, as someone who is pioneering in this space, critical technology space in India, and hearing about your journey, I'm keen to ask you about your advice, if any, for people watching this broadcast and who might want to emulate you and your company going forward. Any particular advice that you have in mind for budding entrepreneurs watching in India?
Go ahead, experiment, figure out new things to build, figure out how you can do better in whatever you want to be doing. Figure out how to use AI in everything that you do in a day. Mm-hmm. And challenge the status quo.
Right, we are approaching just about 8:30 p.m. India time. We are approaching, as I said, the last leg of our broadcast. Maybe time perhaps for a quick break and come back and get the concluding comments from our guests, if possible, on this broadcast. But in the meantime, if I can quickly get in a question to our guest in Germany, Dr. Richter. As we conclude this broadcast, your thoughts on this oft repeated question, because many think and view AI as a double-edged sword. In your experience, personal experience over the last many years, what would you say if you were to be asked, is AI a boon or bane?
Well, what gives me a lot of peace of mind is the understanding of that AI amplifies. It amplifies the intelligence, it amplifies our bias, so that, but it does not replace it. It doesn't replace responsibility. So at these turning points of a historical measure we have as societies with our planet, responsibility becomes visible and becomes much more important, and that's the actual challenge. That we face those turning points not as moments when we suddenly feel ready, but that we accept them as moments when responsibility feels unavoidable, and look for people, for leaders, for politicians, for parents who can step ahead, and all life-changing events that we experienced so far always were coming from nuclei of small groups of people that were able to lead in a way before they are actually ready and before everything was regulated and before they became permission, and do that in a responsible way. And that would be my appeal, and to encourage encourage these clusters that bring us in that way.
Right, so as Dr. Richter and Dr. Agarwal are mentioning on this broadcast, we are discussing the importance of AI in everyday life, affecting and impacting the world at large, including India. No country today is immune from the impact of artificial intelligence. Remember, it's day 3 of the AI Impact Summit taking place in New Delhi, and heads of state and government have arrived at Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi for a meet and greet with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the host of this year's summit. Prime Minister Modi has organized a banquet in honor of the visiting dignitaries, and the stage, as I said, is set for the penultimate 2 days of the summit. And our guests have broken it down for the benefit of viewers and given you a perspective on what AI is all about and the kind of disruption it could cause going forward and the ways to deal with it. And while we are staying on these visuals, let me also recap the Prime Minister's engagement so far on the margins of the summit. He's met with a number of world leaders, 20 of them attending the summit. The Prime Minister earlier in the day held a bilateral meeting with Bhutan's Prime Minister Dr. Tshering Tobgay. They reviewed the progress in bilateral cooperation in energy, connectivity, development partnership, and people-to-people connect. And both leaders expressed support for harnessing AI for inclusive and human-centric progress, and they agreed to further strengthen cooperation in AI and the digital tech space. Also meeting was the Prime Minister of Kazakhstan, Olhaz Bektanov. They discussed about ways to strengthen strategic partnership and deepen bilateral cooperation in all sectors, including trade, defense and security, emerging technologies, and people-to-people ties. France's President Emmanuel Macron also arrived in New Delhi after concluding his engagements in Mumbai as part of his visit to India. Remember, he's on a 3-day visit to India to attend the AI Impact Summit. And during his stay in New Delhi, President Macron is scheduled to hold high-level meetings with Prime Minister Modi. Also in New Delhi is United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres. He will take part in key sessions and engage with world leaders on promoting responsible and inclusive use of AI technologies. Remember, the UN says it believes in using AI for inclusivity, and it says defines AI as a self-learning adaptive system. Also attending the summit is Finland's Prime Minister Petteri Orpo. They welcome the recent conclusion of the India-EU Free Trade Agreement during the 16th India-EU Summit. Prime Minister Orpo and Prime Minister Modi underscore the pivotal role of digitalization and sustainability in driving future economic growth and development. They call for doubling bilateral trade and greater technology collaboration, including co-development of quantum and 6G, renewables, circular economy and defense. They also exchange views on regional and global developments and on greater cooperation in global governance. Also attending the summit are the leaders of Estonia, Croatia, Spain, Serbia, among others. All right, with that, we are approaching the end of our special broadcast. May I thank all our guests, Mr. Nirman Agarwal, Dr. Richa Sharma, and Dr. Winfried Richter for joining us and sharing your perspectives with our viewers at home and abroad. Thank you for their time. Much appreciated. And with that, it's a wrap on this special broadcast. But news continues here on DD India. You can catch all the latest updates on our social media, mobile and digital platforms. Thanks for watching. Bye.